the murmur.
Which one?
The one that we've been learning. That I could take this.
Yeah. The Svartim Lachem. Okay. So, are we on for tonight, by the way? No.
I think I'll be able to.
This is Valeria. Your Hebrew name again is
Hannah.
Hannah.
Amazing.
Was machst du? Sind die aus Santa Clara?
Ja.
Was ist du bei Nacht?
Achasana.
Aus der Chassene. Ah, bei wem?
Elliot Young. Mom.
Ah, ja? Do we know him? I don't think so.
No.
So you can speak in America.
Alright.
No, think about it and tell me after, okay? I'm flying tonight to Montreal, yeah.
I'll see you in the airport.
Yeah.
Flight tonight as well.
What time is your flight?
8:50
8:50. No, mine is at 11.
at night.
Yeah.
How was last night with
Very nice.
English? Here, you guys can look inside. You can kind of sit over here, Moshe. And you listen. You don't read Hebrew, right? Not yet.
Very basic.
So go to page Rejim and Aleph. Okay, so we're gonna have a shir today about Shavuot and the Matan Torah, and We're going to learn a few lines from the Maimer from the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe. That starts off with the words B'chodesh HaShlishi. So we arrived at Har Sinai on Rosh Chodesh, Sivan, and the Torah tells us that Vayisu, Vayachanu, etc., etc. And then it says Vayichan Shem Yisrael Negat Hahar, and the commentators explained that from the fact that the plural form was being used, and all of a sudden the singular form is being used for the children of Israel, that indicates that we were then K'ish Echad B'Lev Echad. We were like one person with one heart. And what's understood from that is that in order to really receive the Torah, we have to be K'ish Echad B'Lev Echad. We have to be like one person with one heart. In other words, there has to be mamish real unity to understand, to really understand the Torah.
How could one person start that on his own? Like, obviously, it's a avodah pnimit that each and every one needs to work on.
Right.
But if I want to receive the Torah, B'Shem Kol Yisrael,
Right.
I want us all to receive the Torah.
Right.
Me, myself, I can't do it alone.
No, what do you mean you can do it alone? You can do it for every one of us has to do the same thing.
I want to be able to see and feel all of Am Yisrael as one. Ish echad kelev echad.
No.
So I could do that for myself.
No.
But if my brother isn't there, my sister isn't there.
But listen, all that's expected of you is to do what you could do.
But do we receive the Torah?
Yes, you received the Torah. Of course you received it. We already received the Torah. Let me explain some more. Okay. So everybody knows the famous story about Hillel and the convert, right? The convert comes to him and says, I want to convert on the condition that you teach me the entire Torah while I'm standing on one foot, right? And Hillel says to him, that which is hateful to you, don't do to others. This is the entire Torah, go and learn. That's the regular translation of what was just said. And Hillel is telling him basically that there's different ways to understand this. There's many levels to understanding this. One is, for example, if I say to Moshe, stand up on one foot. Go ahead, stand up on one foot. Okay, and right. So here's Moshe on one foot. Okay. Now, how long can he stand like that? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? Is he really going to be able to finish? The Torah by standing on one foot? Okay. Anyway, is he going to be able to learn the whole Torah while on one foot? No, right? And if I'm standing on one foot, go ahead. If I'm standing on one foot, I also can't stand very long, right? But if he's standing on one foot, and I'm on one foot, right? And together, we could stand for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah? In other words, through Ahavat Yisrael, right? We can do it. But that's but let's explain that more. What Hillel is saying to him is like this: the Sfatim the first Ger Rebbe. He explains that when the convert is saying to Hillel, "Can you teach me the entire Torah while I'm standing on one foot?" The one foot is a metaphor for this world, which is known as the world of lies, Alma de Shikra. Why so? So, you're going to borrow your pen for a minute? Yeah? And can I have that for a minute? Okay, so the Gemara says that emet, that the truth has raglayim, it has feet, and sheker ein la raglayim, and sheker does not have feet. Okay, so if you look at this, you see that the word emet is each letter has 2 feet, right?
Mhm.
But in other words, meaning to say is that the word it has truth has what to stand on, right? The sheker, the lie, right? Each letter just has 1 foot, okay, and then on top of that, the kuf comes down to the very bottom, and so basically it's just an illustration of the idea that 1 foot is a reference to the world of lies. So when the convert says to Hillel, I want you to teach while standing on 1 foot, in different words, what he's saying is, can you teach me the Torah in such a way that I will be able to keep it in this world of lies? That I'll be able to keep it in Alma de Shikra, in the world of lies. And he says to him, you will only be able to do it through the mitzvah of Ahavat Yisrael. Okay. In other words, okay, so what does that mean? It's still a world of lies, right? So there's a lot of levels over here, but we'll just touch a couple of them. The basic interpretation of this teaching is that everything in the Torah is all about Ahavat Yisrael. In other words, not only the mitzvot that are between man and man, but also the mitzvot that are between man and God. We know them lamokim. It's all about v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. One way I've been explaining that is that what does a person want, right? A person wants to be connected. A person wants to be connected to eternity. Why do you want to be connected to eternity? What made you dream of even thinking about that? You know, there's this woman, I think she lives in Yerushalayim now. For many years she lived in Tzfat. And she's a righteous convert. She's a righteous convert. And I met her first years ago, for us. I met her first years ago, and when she was in the process of conversion. And I said to her, you know, I would really appreciate if you would just give me a little bit of insight and understanding, but why are you converting? Because back in Montreal, the only converts that I knew were basically people who had converted in order to marry somebody Jewish. And none of the ones that I had met were like particularly inspiring, you know? It was like, okay, without judgment, right? And I wanted to understand, like, you know, like, why would someone want to convert? Why would somebody want to be a Jew? And in fact, you know, that in the olden times, when somebody would come and say, I want to be a Jew, I want to accept the yoke of the kingdom of heaven, so then they would say that to 3 people and they would take a dunk in the mikveh. The conversion was 100% valid. Over time, it became necessary to try to dissuade someone from converting. And one of the probably the main reason for that is that like one of the things that we would tell someone wanting to convert is that, listen, Hashem loves you the way you are. You have 7 mitzvot. You don't really need to be a Jew, and besides which, it's your life can be a lot tougher if you take on Judaism. Like, you're going to be responsible for everything. You're going to be responsible for Shabbos. You're going to be responsible for 613 mitzvot. And the shalom. And why do you want to do this? Besides which, you're joining a people that that have a history of being persecuted, right? And very often it happened that when in Europe, that when the Jews were being persecuted, the church would put a lot of pressure on the converts to become informants, and not all of them were able to withstand the pressure. So we became a little bit more wary of like somebody wanting to convert, both for their sake and also for our sake. So I asked this woman, like, why did you want to convert? And she told me that when she was 6 years old, she lived in some town in Florida, and her father was one of these kinds of guys, a good guy, who, like, the weekends were spent, with friends and a couple of cases of beer, tinkering under the hood of the car, And when she was 6 years old, she went to her father. She said, "Daddy, tell me about eternity." And her father said, "Little girl, there ain't no such thing." And she mamish ran away from him crying. So years later, she was a teenager. She was in India. She met up with some Jewish kids. And they were going back to America, and they said, we're going to be going through Israel. And would you like to come with us? She said, okay, why not? And she said when she came to the Kotel, she immediately felt that she found what she'd been looking for years and years. She found that sense of real connection with eternity. Okay? So why do we want eternity? Well, there is a natural built-in motivation among all species to propagate the species, right? It's just animals do it, humans do it, and very often for utilitarian reasons, in a certain sense, that you're getting older and you're not always going to be able to do all the work that you need to do to survive. So you need to have children to go out there and work the farm, etc., etc. You can't do everything yourself. Bless you. So there's a natural thing, for the species to keep on going. But we want, it's not just the person wants to know that that their children are carrying on their values, they're carrying on their belief, etc., etc. So I'm thinking that one of the reasons that we want eternity is basically because our neshama, our soul, is a part of Hashem, and Hashem is eternal. So we in a certain sense, we spiritually, naturally, okay, want that sense of eternity, right? Even if you have the experience only once in your life, where you really feel really connected with Shabbos or with Shema Yisrael or something like that, you just know, that's what it is. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I really want, right? So when Hashem gave us the Torah, it says, "Vayeret Hashem al Har Sinai." God came down to this world, and He gave us the Torah. And the Torah is, like the Gemara says, that the first word of the Ten Commandments, Anochi. It's an acronym. It's a Rashi Tevot for Ana Nafshit Ktavit Yahavit. I'm giving you my soul in writing. I'm giving you my essence in words. Right? Ana Nafshit Ktavit Yahavit. Okay? I'm giving you my being. In other words, I'm making myself present to you that you can be with me and be in my eternity at every moment, as long as you just don't turn your back on and turn away from it, right? Mm-hmm. Which unfortunately sometimes, like, we do, and then we need to do tshuva. Tshuva meaning returning, okay? Now, so everything in the Torah is about Ahavat Yisrael, because every mitzvah is about being connected with Hashem. Ahavat Yisrael is the all-inclusive mitzvah of connection with Hashem. Mitzvah.
Tzavta.
Yes. Now, let's understand this a little bit more. Yesterday in the Torah we read, and as you know, we started Sefer Bamidbar, the fourth book of the Torah, which is also known as Chomesh HaPekudim, which, that's why in English they call Sefer Bamidbar numbers, because it starts off with taking the senses, right? But the senses, it's the way the Torah, the phrase that the Torah uses for taking the senses is Su'u as Rosh B'nai Yisrael, right? Lift up, literally translated, lift up the head of every Jewish person. What do you mean lift them up? So the scripture explains that at the time that you were counted, at the time we were counted, and you gave your half shekel contribution, at that moment you had an experience where you were being elevated to the point of true realization that your life is very meaningful and that you are very worthy. You are worthy to be the person to bring about, to bring down the reality of Hashem into this world of lies. The Mishnah says that every person is obligated to say, Chayav Adam Lomar, Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created for my sake. In other words, you're supposed to believe that, you're supposed to believe that, you're supposed to believe that, every one of us is. What's the what's the greatest, I'll say greatest, okay, don't hang me on that word, but what's the greatest love that you can give to a person is to make them feel really worthy and special, right? Usually when we say, oh, I love this person, or I love this, or I love that, usually people mean I really love myself and that person makes me feel good, I get something from them, or this or that, right? But to really love means that you're giving something to that person. You're giving them a sense of honor, a sense of worthiness, a sense of respect. Okay? So V'yahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your fellow like you love yourself. That means that just like you yourself have to believe that the world was created for my sake, that I'm worthy. The whole creation in God's eyes is worth it for you to be here and to do something good. So you have to love your fellow like yourself, and make sure and do everything that you can to elevate this person, that they too should feel that sense of worthiness in the world. Okay. And that's the entire Torah. In other words, the Torah to manifest His reality in this world of lies, so that the light of Hashem dispels the darkness of this world. Okay. So you can do a mitzvah in a way that it mamish brings Hashem's light into the world. Or you can do a mitzvah, you did a mitzvah. Okay? And what makes the difference? The difference is, are you doing it b'shem kol Yisrael? Are you doing it with the consciousness of all of the people of Israel? Are you doing it just for yourself so that you can get another 5 minutes in Gan Eden, in heaven? Or are you doing it because you really want to bring the light of Hashem into the world, because you want everybody to know that they are special, unique, worthy, and holy, etc.
Is there another level of doing it just because this is the will of Hashem?
That's the highest level. But what is the will of Hashem? In other words, what is it? Yeah, I'm doing this just because Hashem told me to do it. But you have to go also a little bit deeper. You understand? You don't have to go deeper. This is the will of Hashem. Hashem is unity. The will of Hashem is that I should be a part of Knesset Yisrael, that to bring Hashem's light into the world. Yes, and the simple, like Baal Shem Tov said, he was willing to give up all his spiritual gifts just to be able to do a mitzvah like a simple yid. Okay, what does a simple yid do? Simple yid knows that there's a God. God said do this, and I'm doing it. Okay, no chachmas, no nothing. Okay, so even after you learn all the chassidus and after you learn all the deep things and so on, ultimately, when it comes down to doing the mitzvah, you sort of have to erase all that and just do it just because Hashem said. But that's, you see, and that's the way in which you can bring down Hashem's light on the highest level. Understand? If you're bringing it down because, I understand like this and I understand like that, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, so you're limiting God's manifestation into this world. We need to just do it because Hashem said, and Hashem is going to, bring down the light. But you need to understand that there is a Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara says, look, he's a holy guy, and I'm not, or whatever, and look, and that's already separation.
So the highest level is doing it because Hashem commanded us so, and now this is how we do it. This is the explanation how we manifest it.
Okay, so in other words, what is it that this is Hashem's? Why did Hashem create the world? So the Zohar says, did He need it? No, He didn't need it. Zohar says that Hashem created the world because He wanted to have a dwelling place in the lowest of all worlds. Okay, this is the lowest of all worlds. and it's Hashem's will that we make him a dwelling place here in this world. That's what Hashem's will is. Okay? Now, but in order to do that, I need to do it properly. Okay? So if I'm doing it because of my own calculations and so on, so there's still, and it's not easy to get away from this, but there's still there's an I am doing this, right? There's an ego, and I agree. Yeah, it's a nice thing that I'm going to do this mitzvah. I agree that it's a good idea, and so on. So I'm not really accepting the full yoke of the kingdom of Malchut Shemayim, of the kingship of Hashem. Okay. Yeah, it's nice to be a nice guy. It's nice to do people favors and so on. But that's not quite v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That's I want to think of myself as a good person. I think that as a good person, it's a proper thing that I should do a couple of favors a day. 2 is enough. Right? It's not Wilson. Right? And the 2 favors. What else do you want? The rest of the day, that's not we have to reacha kamocha. It's giving yourself over to being to the unity of Hashem. To be in the unity, to be part of the one. That's the v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, right? So, at the same time that I need to have a very deep sense of self-worth, chayav adam loymar b'shvili nivra ha'olam. At the same time, I need to make sure that I do everything I can to make everybody else that I encounter also feel that way.
Mm.
Okay? Because the whole thing about the Torah is to bring Hashem's presence into the world. Okay? And every mitzvah is leading towards that. Okay? Now, you're not going to walk out of here understanding how each mitzvah is accomplishing that. That's okay. It's like, the last 2 words of Hillel's answer to the convert were Zil Gemor, go and learn. Okay? Another interpretation of Zil Gemor is like, you know what? This is the starting point. Now go make sure that from now on to the very last breath of your life, you're going to complete this mitzvah. Zil Gemor, go and finish it.
Is that where the word Gemara comes from? Learning?
Gemara means
Gemara.
learning, yes. That's the Gemara is in the Aramaic is to learn. Yeah. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe asks the question, and he says, so why did Hashem give us, why do we need the Torah? Is it only through the Torah that you can accomplish being a tzaddikus? You got the Iranian Jews pronounce with a tap and a saf? No, it's like you guys pronounce, there's no saf like in Ashkenazi, eh? Okay, tzaddiket. Okay. So, but the Yemenites do have the difference.
I think Jotham, they have it with a John and Ga.
They have a few differences, but they have. Anyway, so was it not possible to become a tzaddik, to be a righteous person without the Torah? Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, they were chariots of Hashem. They achieved tremendous levels of sanctity. They achieved all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Alter Rebbe goes ahead and teaches a meditation that that very likely they used to achieve all that, right? But the fact of the matter is that we have a very powerful Yetzer Hara, we have a very powerful evil inclination, and we're living in a world of darkness. So it's not so easy to achieve that. It's extremely difficult, actually. Okay. And in fact, when Moshe Rabbeinu is arguing with Hashem on our behalf, he says to Hashem, like, yeah, we're not on the level that we need to be, but so Shiba Isa, like, you put this sourdough into the dough that makes the dough rise, and we think that we're somebody, we're all blown up, and we're a yesh, and so on and so on. So it's not so easy, and Hashem buys the argument and says, okay, I'll forgive and give you another chance, and so on. Okay? So it says, Hashem oz la'amu yitain, Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom. The Gemara says, what is oz? Oz is Torah. So Hashem gave us the Torah so that we should be able to overcome the materialism and the coarseness of this world, and the attachment of our bodies and animal souls to the mundane, to this world. And through Torah, Hashem gives us the Torah to be able to achieve that. In other words, Hashem is extending to us the bridge to eternity, okay, to the infinite. We're finite. We can't do this on our own. Hashem is giving us the Torah that here's a mitzvah. Hold on to it. Do it. And you're connecting yourself with Hashem. Okay? And then it says, Hashem yivarech et amo ba shalom. God will bless his people ba shalom. Bet shalom. And the rabbis explain, what do you mean bet shalom? 2 levels of shalom. So there's familia shalmala and familia shalmata. There's the heavenly peace and there's the worldly peace. Okay, there's eternal peace and the peace here on this level. Meaning to say what? That through Torah, familia shalmala is that with Torah, the light of the infinite one, blessed be He, illuminates within your being, within your divine soul, and you, mamish, can experience being in that union with Hashem through learning Torah, right? And furthermore, through learning, we can achieve that the divine illumination should also penetrate into our very physical being, to the point that your body stops acting as an obstacle every time you want to do something like a mitzvah, okay? And even your body says, I also want to be participating in that.
Connects to the
Of course. It's the same Rebbe, and it's the Torah is the
same Torah.
Now, you can't really get this just by learning alone. This is where prayer comes in. Because what the word, one of the meanings of the word tefillah is hitkashrut. Prayer is connecting ourselves to Hashem. And everybody at their level, but the levels are infinite. Okay? But prayer is basically, it's from below upward. It's like meditating on the fact that we have a soul, and the soul is a part of Hashem from above, and it can't be just that the soul is been judged to come down and live in exile, in the exile of this body. The soul is living in this body not just to overcome the physical drives that we have, but also to harness them and to make them part of Avodas Hashem, to make them part of the service of Hashem. And that's what it means to receive the Torah, because there's 248 mitzvot, asay, positive mitzvahs in the Torah that correspond to the 248 limbs of the body, and 365 mitzvot lo taseh, prohibitions, which correspond to 365 vessels of the blood system.
Is there a book that says which is what? Do we know?
I asked somebody a number of years ago. He went and he spoke with Reb Moshe Wolfson, and I told him that 10 years earlier he still knew one person who had that information. Now I imagine that there might be some Kubalim that know that. The Baal Shem Tov knew that information. I don't know anybody who knows the information or shares it. Anyway, the idea of that is that every part of the body has a mitzvah. And in other words, every part of the body is meant to manifest the divine light. Okay, and to achieve that, we need to mamish daven, pray to want to be part of that, right? To want to achieve that.
It reminds me of the story of Reb Zusha, when he goes up to heaven and he sees all these broken angels. He sees an angel without a leg. He sees an angel without a heart.
Right.
An angel.
Right.
Says, what's going on? Like, we didn't do the mitzvah with our whole essence, our whole being.
We did the mitzvahs, but we didn't do it with the whole being. Right.
Is this a story when every time you do a mitzvah, you create an angel?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
So it's also explained that the Shekhinah does not dwell in an incomplete vessel. In other words, all the souls of, so for example, if you were to pour me the most expensive drink in the world, right? But if I have a hole in the cup, it's not going to stay there, right? So all the souls of Israel together make up Knesset Yisrael. And if we're not letting one participate or something like that, right?
Being a hole.
We have a hole in the vessel, and the Shekhinah doesn't dwell there. So v'ahavta l'reacha kamecha, you want to know the whole Torah on 1 foot, you have to know that you have to have the vessel, and the vessel is Ahavat Yisrael. Further to that, there's a teaching that says that the word Yisrael is an acronym for Yesh Shishim Ribuy Otiyot LaTorah. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. There's 600,000 root souls. Every soul, so to speak, is the owner of one of the letters of the Torah. There were tzaddikim that said that if you're on the level, you could learn Torah just by looking at people's faces. You could see their letter. Okay. Don't ask me to describe that. I can only imagine a little bit about it. Okay. But in order to access the depth of the knowledge of each letter of the Torah, you have to love that soul. If you don't love that soul, you're not going to. You can get the knowledge of it on an information level. You can know that this means this means that, and so on. But to really get the depth of how that is connecting you with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and how the entire Torah is present in every single letter of the Torah, that you can only achieve through Ahavat Yisrael. So that's the entire Torah that Hillel was telling the convert. It's all dependent on Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. But he gives him a very practical definition of it. He says that which is hateful to you, don't do to others, right? Because you need to have a practical definition of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Because otherwise, I don't know, one of you might walk out of here and start hugging every person on the bus and on the Rekevet Kala. I don't know. It's not very practical, especially if you have to get your shopping ready for Yom Tov, But so practically speaking, the basic practical definition of loving each other is that which is hateful to the other, that which is hateful to you, don't do to somebody else. You don't like walking by someone and being ignored, don't ignore them. Say hello. Mm-hmm. You don't like, somebody asks you ask somebody for a favor, you're not very happy if they turn you down, right? And if they can't do it, at least you would like them to say, "Oh, I'd like to help you, but I can't right now," right? So the same thing, with everybody else, like with yourselves and everybody else. You can't always put everything aside. You have a life to live. You can't say, oh, there's 1,000 people waiting for a favor. I'm going to quit my job and do that. No, you have to love yourself also. You have to love yourself in order to be able to fulfill loving somebody else, right? And but that which is hateful to you, don't do to somebody else, right? Don't do that. And that's the whole Torah. That's the practical definition of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That's the whole Torah. And so Shavuot, which is starting Tuesday night, and we're celebrating the receiving of the Torah, so it's very important to keep in mind, yes, I want to receive the Torah completely. I want to make as much space for the whole Torah in my being, right? And to remember, it's not just about me and God alone. It's all of us.
Okay. So I want to grab onto as much light as I can to bring it back down.
Right.
And illustrate it in the world to others, to ourselves.
And that's achieved not by through bittul, through nullification of the egotistical self, and it gets to the point where it's not just because I want to illuminate the world. It's Hashem wants the world to be illuminated, and please Hashem allow me to be a clear channel, a clear vessel for that to happen. Okay, but it's not like you're going to go into a room of 100 people and you say, "Okay, everybody, I came here to enlighten you."
Yesterday, a friend came back from Tel Aviv.
Yeah,
and he didn't have a great Shabbos.
Yeah.
He came back. Okay. We were still Baruch Hashem in Suda Shlishit, so he received some of that light when he got home. But later that evening, I sat and I wanted to tell him a story. There was a story. I remember Reb Shlomo telling a story this one time about the 107-year-old man who was in charge of an inn in a far village.
Yeah.
And that's the story I wanted to tell him. But I wanted to tell him the exact story, so I started looking in one of the books. And I read him a different story. I finished reading him the story and I said, I have no idea why I read you this story. No clue. It's not the story I wanted to tell you. But Hashem wanted you to hear it. Afterwards, I told him the other story, And we were able to connect those two stories together to exactly what he was going through and why Hashem needed him to hear that story. So having that ability to be the vessel to pass that towards him was amazing.
Yeah.
But I was so grateful.
And that was Behesach Hadas. In other words, that you.
Yeah, but-
Huh?
Yeah, I had no clue
Yeah,
why I
right,
said that story.
right.
And I said to him, I don't know why I read you the story.
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
So I wish everybody a good Yom Tov. And you too. Yom Tov. And I'll be back in Mr. Hashem next Wednesday night.
Where are you going?
Going to Montreal. My mother's in the hospital. Getting in there. Yeah. Everybody should have a refuah shalema and
When are you leaving?
tonight.